Well, greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today I have a subscriber interview, one that will, not really shock you because we already know that there is bad stuff going on in Virginia. Before we get into it, a couple links. As you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, and my merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. The links to Patreon and PayPal are in the description below. My merch is displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters Volume 1, 2, and 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeffrey Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, the links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe, click the like button, and please leave a comment. It really does help. And it matters, guys. And now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's get on with today's upload, shall we? This interview was done at 2:30 in the morning. While information was still fresh in DJ's mind, I was completely exhausted. DJ, on the other hand, was wide awake, and he was keeping an eye on his property the night after the event happened. And so everything is still fresh in his mind during this interview, and you can tell he is just amped with adrenaline and energy, and I am just drained because I had been working all night. So here is that interview. All right, everybody. I got DJ with me. He and I were talking last night and just shooting the breeze about firearms and stuff like that. I get a text bright and early from DJ, and it's pretty interesting. DJ, how are you?
I'm not doing too bad, Jeff. Thanks.
Well, it's about 2:30 in the morning. Usually you're out like a light by now, but you're up for a reason. What's that reason?
I'm watching the sea, and hopefully we have no things that go bump in the night as far as retaliation after last night's goings on.
All right, what happened last night?
I got little tomatoes out here that I planted in a little tub, and I water them every other day, or every day since it's been dry here, and the deer have been compacted off of them, so I've had to put scents around them and like perfume and bug powder to keep the deer away, and I forgot to water them yesterday, so I went out of here about 1:30 a.m. last night.
Okay.
And I was, in the point of watering them, we've got, like I said, we put that Dust Dawn light up about 3 months back, and it was shining light on the side of the hill over here, up underneath the road that goes up the holler here. It's just an old logging road, and I was sitting there, and when I was getting ready to, when I turned...
Real quick, that road actually goes up to a cemetery. And
yeah, I think way up on top.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting because we all know that Dogman like cemeteries.
Exactly. And anyhow, the light was shining over on a hillside, and I heard something move, which, like I said, the light don't shine a lot of light very far, but it shines just enough to where you can see the shadow of something move. Well, I seen the shadow of something, so I walked over here to the edge of the yard, and it was about 10 feet from the edge before I got over there, and after that, every step I took, the thing was growling. Louder and louder and louder and louder. And it was on quadruped, it wasn't on bipedal. So I pretty well knew what it was, so I raised my firearm and took aim as best I could with the light behind me, what I had, and shot toward the shoulder.
All right.
Well, I heard the impact of the bullet.
What were you shooting with?
It was a 45 ACP.
Okay.
And I heard the big thump sort of sound and as you would say, that deep times 10. And then I heard it roll, I don't know, 5-6 feet. And then after that, I heard it running up the holler, just you could imagine a deer on 2 feet at that speed, all the way up out of sight. It was out of sight and out of here. I'd say within 10 seconds, I couldn't hear nothing no more because it runs straight up the holler.
Huh. Now, you had said that growl was awful guttural, the first part of it. That's what kind of got you freaked
my
out.
lungs, but I got an imitation as best I can do, but I can't do it as deep as it is.
Right.
But it sounded something similar. And every step I took, it got louder and it got deeper.
Right. And then you did catch some eye shine briefly.
As it turned its head when I shined my light, it was a mixture of amberish orange, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
About the color of a flame.
Yeah.
Is what it reminds you of, because it turned its head away from the light. And when I fired it, that's when I heard the projectile make impact in that deep, aura. So, yeah, the thump.
Yeah.
And then, I heard it turn over, roll, slide, whatever. And then it must have got up on its feet and take off running up in the brush.
Right. Now, I'm sorry, what?
Because after that, where it fell and rolled, it was covered by saplings and everything else and leaves on the trees. I couldn't see nothing.
Okay. How long did you hear it running for before it stopped?
I would say 10 seconds. Because it was just like it was going way out of hearing range.
Is that up by that stream that's by your...
It went straight up that stream and straight up the holler. It's like it followed the stream.
So it is the same location where that picture came from with the deer.
Right.
The time that you saw the female.
Right.
Okay. So
I'm assuming that, like we was talking prematurely or a little while ago, I'm thinking you was trying to help me figure out what was there, and the only thing I can figure where these deer have been coming out here in the yard in the edge of the field at night and snagging my tomatoes. It might have been sitting up there watching for the deer to come out. It's the only thing I would think.
Yeah, and if it's hungry, and just take them out quick and go right back up that hill or mountain or whatever.
Yeah, because we've lost a cat here in the last few days. I haven't mentioned it.
You have lost another one? Jeez, I'm crying.
Yeah, this was my tomcat we've had about 8 or 9 years. He was a big old cat. I mean, he was up there in age, but, everybody knows a feline, when they're healthy, can live 14 to 17 years.
Yeah.
I mean, he was old enough that, he was starting to go downhill, but not in the case that he would just go off and let nature take its course. Something's happened to him.
Yeah.
Because I know too.
Because I say sad because I know that you enjoyed your brief sighting with the baby there. I know that was something that you thought was interesting, and
the female and her baby, she was something.
But when you heard that thunk, you got a little hyper, didn't you?
I thought it was cool. I was scared half to death, but to actually hear the impact and the result from the impact when it hollered, yelped, whatever, in pain. So it does show they can be hurt and they can be killed, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah.
Though I didn't drop it, but I think it got the point across that it was way too close for my taste.
Yeah, that's...
And I know it was not the female. I know better, because this thing, I went back up there, like I was telling you earlier this evening, and measured it from where I seen the top of the shoulder, and it was over 3.5 foot tall to the top of the spine. And a lot of people think 3.5 feet ain't much, but when you go over there looking at it, and from the bottom of this thing's pad to the top of the shoulder blade, over 3.5 foot, it was actually what I get measured as. I had a yardstick. It was 3 foot 10 inches. So you're almost looking at 4 feet to the top of the back. Yeah. That's a big animal.
That is, you're absolutely right. That's enormous.
And
for something bipedal or something quadruped, excuse me.
Right. And if we figure, like most people say, when it's stretched out, we're looking at what, Jeff, 8 feet? A little over 7, 8 feet maybe?
Probably. I'd say high 7, maybe 8. Just
what I can,
the way the body extends, you know what I mean, and legs
right.
and stuff like that. But
As far as weight, I couldn't,
yeah,
like I said, I'd seen a shadow, and
it's
when it
hard to
walked
tell
out,
when it's in the dark and you can't really see it. So
right, when it walked out of the weeds, in the head, I shined my light up there, and like I said, it turned its head real quick away from the light, but the light didn't make contact.
hmm.
And that's when I seen that brief flicker of the eyes. And I'm telling you, when people say that these things guttural growl, I've always heard it and just thought maybe it become maybe like a household word for every sightings. People have heard it enough, they just, in context, whether they're thinking or not, just, say, well, it sounded guttural. They do sound guttural. I mean, it
Yeah,
sounds like, as people would say that have music talent, it had the bass.
yeah, yeah.
Real deep, deep growl. I mean, it just, I don't know. It's scary at the same time, but
It was
it's really
exciting. Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. It must have been like a pure adrenaline rush.
It was, and I was scared
You're
stiff.
still on it, actually. I mean, you're up. It's late. You're all psyched up right now. Actually, before I started recording, you were telling me what happened, and you were quite animated. So definitely a dump of adrenaline into your system.
You're exactly right. I hope that there is no, you know, recognizance from my action. I just hope that it got the point and it's either went on or passed on or either way. But if I had to bet, it was probably that male that's been around here. And I hope that, it learned its lesson. I don't want no more trouble, but that was too close for comfort. I mean, honestly, all in all, I was probably 35 to 40 yards from it.
Hmm.
Just barely enough in handgun range, but of the target that big walking through the brush with the outline of its body, normally 35, 40 yards for a handgun, it's no shot people would not take, safely. But at that distance and with that big of a shadow and target, you're more chances of hitting it are a little bit better than missing. And I know I did not miss. The sound and the recoil of the animal when it was hit, that told me it got slapped. I just hope there's no repercussions for this. They say these things are very, very revengeful, and there ain't nowhere I can hide. It's got my smell. It's got me down pat. I mean, it knows I'm here. I dwell here. So I'm just hoping it dwells elsewhere if it lived. But I don't even wish it harm. I mean, I hope if they're as thick as what they say in the hollow point I used, I'm sure it went in, it made contact, it opened up, it expanded, but if it didn't kill it, I hope that it let it tell a lesson that I'm not taking no more of their crap, and it just moved on, and hopefully its feet are still beating the ground to another state. Because there's just so much going on around here in Virginia and North Carolina, Kentucky, Tennessee. I mean, like you said, West Virginia, we're right in the hub of this, right in the center of the hub. I don't know what has come to life in the last few years, but cryptids are everywhere. And I don't care if I ever see another one. Female was really educational and once of a lifetime sighting. I was glad I seen her and her pup, but at the same time, if I never seen another one again, I'm not going to shed a tear over it. Because if there's a female, there's a male somewhere. And usually, like, most say, if there's one male that you're seeing, there's 2 to 3 more, possibly more, behind you.
There's been nothing going on as of this evening, though?
As of this evening, it's cool and calm.
Okay.
And I hope that it continues.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, gosh, maybe you started it away so it won't come back, or maybe I don't know if a 45, well, right bullet placement, yeah. But
at point blank range, within 30 feet, you stand a lot more chance of causing a lot more injury and accuracy and death. But
yeah,
it was a lot longer than that. I know it made contact. I know it hurt it. But as far as the amount and level of penetration and, hitting a vital organ, I don't know.
right.
And
Right.
hollow point is not going to get the penetration as though a soft nose or a full metal jacket or something like that would.
Yeah, and especially how it was running up the hill.
Right.
It doesn't sound like you terminated it. It just hurt bad probably, and hopefully it'll learn its lesson and stay away from your house. Being out in the back field is one thing, where you can see it from your house, in the woods and stuff, like kind of like that picture that you took. But when it's right there as you're outside watering your tomato plants, that's no good.
No. And I hope, with the 45, there's a slower moving bullet than most semi-automatic or center fire revolver ammunition. But the reason it was so good in the foreign wars that's been issued by our government is because the size of the projectile and the amount of blunt force trauma that slow moving bullet affects whatever it hits. So it's about like a heavyweight hitting a lightweight. So hopefully the energy transfer was enough that it thumped it like a big hard punch to let it know that it's not welcome around here.
Right. Wow, that's truly amazing.
And the way that thing sounds, every step I took, it let me know with every step I took from the 10 foot that I stopped and seen its outline and I started walking. Every step I took, it let me know I was getting a little closer, too close, back. It's like every step I took, it would take a breath and growl it much deeper. I mean, it's about like a rattlesnake shaking its tail. It was letting me know for each step I took, it was a little too close for it. So at least it had enough to let me know.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, truly an amazing and terrifying set of events.
I mean, I heard a couple times, Jeff, as it went up the holler here, like scrapes, like it sounded like scratches bouncing off rocks. It's talons bouncing off rocks, if that makes any sense.
Plenty of sense, yeah. I wonder, and you didn't go out there today, did you? Or look around a little?
Oh, yeah, I went over there this evening. That's where I measured how where I aimed at.
No, I mean like where it ran up the mountain.
Oh, no, I haven't been up in there.
Okay.
I went around where the impact happened, walked around that little spot and looked and seen where it had broke down brush and a couple of old saplings and stuff and rocks that knocked out of place. And I did not see there was no fur, there was no blood, there wasn't nothing there. So, and most hunters would know if I hit it where I was aiming up towards high behind the shoulder, a wound like that, even with good penetration where it's at, don't bleed a lot, and it don't bleed very much or fast. It's just a couple drops here and a couple drops there. So there was no obvious blood at the point of impact, unless it might have threw it up in the air on a branch or under a leaf or something that was turned over when it rolled. But I didn't see none.
Yeah. Truly amazing.
I did see the claw marks where it tried to catch itself when it slid down the hill.
Okay.
You could see it actually digging into the dirt, and it was very wide palm, very wide. Wow. And I could see one spot, it must have been by the back foot, where it sort of pushed itself forward.
Yeah.
And it put a big, deep print in the underbrush, the soil up under the leaf litter. So I'm just hoping that I don't wish death on it. I don't hope it dies, but at the same time, I just want it to go on and live its life somewhere else if it's going to live.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just that makes sense why we have lost our tomcat and then this thing this close.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. It's just wow. I can't imagine. I can't imagine what just taking aim and thunk.
Yeah.
And hearing the noise, and I mean, it must have been just an adrenaline dump, and just pure energy, and wow.
Right. And even if I could have had enough light to make visual eye contact with it, I couldn't see for about, I don't know, 5-10 seconds afterwards, because the flash from the fire sort of blinded me. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
It's like a flash burn. It's like, when it's real bright in the snow, white outside, and you walk inside, you're blinded for the first few seconds. And then I just lied on my ears, and I heard it go way up in the holler. Boot, scoot, and boogie, I guess you would say. I don't know what it is about these things around here, but they're in deep, wherever the deeper you are in the mountains or mountainous terrain, in these real rural areas, these things are hanging out more and more. And if there's houses around in these real deep southern rural areas, they don't seem to mind coming around the homes. I mean, they just, it's like they have no fear. They're cautious, but at the same time, it's not like they have any fear of us.
Well, it's like, I think he did the right thing, because think about what happens when bears go around a home,
Right.
They usually get dispatched very quickly. So I think you did the right thing.
I hope so. I'd rather have 10 bears to one dog, man, to be honest with you.
Absolutely. I mean,
bears, we know, they're studied, they're documented, and, they've been around since we have.
Mm-hmm.
We know they're there. We know everything there is to know about them. We know they're flesh and blood just like us. We know nothing of these creatures. All we know is they're dangerous. Which I'm sure forever, 20, 30 you have that's bloodthirsty for human flesh, there's a couple that's remorseful, but you don't see that hardly.
Yeah. Wow. DJ, it was, I don't know about you, but I mean, I do know, because when I first started talking to you, you were just revved. And so I'm pretty, just amazed that, I'm wondering what is up in that area to kind of draw them down to you.
I don't know. But I will tell you this, Jeffrey, the Remy girl that you were talking about was the one on the list that was not recovered.
Yeah, she's up over that hill a little ways.
Yeah, she's just a little ways down the road from us, where she disappeared. So 2 and 2 equal 4.
Yeah.
And it's very, very possible.
Ain't that the
because
truth?
These things running around like that, it's a lot easier to explain her disappearing that way than by the hand of man.
Yeah. And her boyfriend already had passed the lie detector
right.
a couple of different times.
Exactly.
There's just, it's definitely 1950s foul play.
They have nothing to go on. I mean, there's not even, just like when the man from Cedar Bluff disappeared so many years ago. Not a speck of evidence, nothing.
Yeah, they're just, they can only look at the people that, like with Myra, they question the boyfriend, and I'm sure they got a little rugged on him, but he passed it, and it's
they've done decided and said that her disappearance, as far as they know, can investigate, was not the result of foul play.
Right.
As of right now, so
all those cases that happened out there. So,
with that being said, that's pretty much self-explanatory.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
Maybe not every one of them at the hand of Dogman, but they still, bless their heart and their soul, they're still being dispatched by something.
Yeah, it's Tazewell in Buchanan County, Virginia. What a place. It's almost like a Dogman Twilight Zone.
Isn't that the truth?
So, all right, buddy. It was good talking to you. Stay safe. They're hopefully this scared them away.
I really hope so.
I'd hate to have you anything happen to you, my friend.
I wouldn't either. I just want to be left in peace, and you would think they would want the same.
Yeah. Well, it was good talking to you. Stay safe, and I appreciate the update.
All right, Jeff. Thank you. Have a good night.
You as well, buddy.
All right. Bye-bye.
Like I said, I was completely exhausted in that interview. We did talk about Myra Remy, or Ramy, and her disappearance is, as the crow flies, probably 10 minutes, if that, from DJ's home. So that area, as we know, is very infested with Dogman, Crawler, Bigfoot. And for, 60, 70 years, maybe even longer, that part of Virginia has been infested with these creatures. The whole Appalachia region is just riddled and infested with Dogman, Crawler, Bigfoot. It's a beautiful area, but it's kind of unsafe, I guess. But, everywhere is unsafe. I guess you just have to watch your back and be very vigilant where you go and what you do at night. Or in the day, for that matter, if you're in the woods hiking. But, yeah. So, anyway, with that, my friends, please stay safe. May the Great Spirit watch over us all, and may He guide us down that path that, we call life.